So I've been Britney Speared. That's what I like to call it. Um, Britney Speared. I went out today, which should have took 15 minutes just to pick up a few things that I needed: lotion, soaps, deodorants, things like that. And it took me about 2.5 hours. And if you're a TI, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Anything that you try to do is going to take you. You need to give yourself at least an hour, hour and a half for a 15-minute trip because the roads are going to be jam packed. The lines that you stand in are going to be jam packed, and you're going to have to play the waiting game. But what I think this is them working yet again without them knowing, unbeknownst to them, they are fulfilling prophecy and making us more patient. The thing about having a good spirit, the two things that he really tries to refine in us is patience and kindness. Those are the two things that he always put together. Patient and kind. Love is being patient, and love is being kind. And so, in gang stalking, those are the two, or at least I find it to be the two most difficult things. Um, is the patience and being kind to these people, because when they're doing things purposely, you know that they're doing them purposely. You want to scream at them. You almost want to put your arms around her neck and choke them. But God doesn't want us to do that, and that's our test. Our test is in the face of adversity. Will you be kind or will you show wrath? And previously, in my history, I would have showed wrath. I would have said some really nasty things. I would have been foaming at the mouth with half of the things that I go through when I go out. But now I'm learning to laugh because God, in Psalms, in the book of Psalms, God talks about how he laughs at them and he will have them in derision. I forget which verse. I want to say it's Psalms 35, but I could be totally wrong. Um, I I have to be honest. I just picked up the Bible about 10 months ago for my first time as an adult, and I opened it up to Psalms. I don't know why, but that was the first book. And when I opened it up to Psalms, I felt like, wow, this book is talking about me. Like, I really felt that it was speaking to me, and from that, and I read the whole book of Psalms, and from that point on, I knew the Bible was real. I was like, how does these words work for someone in 5 AD and work for someone in 2017? This is bizarre to me. Like, I mean, as I mean, up until that point, I had seen some bizarre things from the other side, but opening up the Bible and seeing my life basically in this book, I was shocked, and it made me want to read more. So what I started doing was just like everyone else does, like go to different passages and read them and find different words that like I wanted to instill in my life, like patience or kindness or love or evil or things like that. Just keywords, and I would look those up on the internet and then go read it in the Bible. And the passages were okay. It was getting me through a lot, but I always felt like I'm missing a whole lot. Like, what's the context of why they're saying these things? Like, is it directly about my situation, or is it just a saying? You know. So now what I'm starting to do is I'm reading the Bible from beginning to end as a book, and I'm not really studying it. I'm just reading it as a story right now because I just want to see what the story of the Bible is about, and then from there, once I know the story, I can go to these passages and then I can have an idea of what the context is about rather than me just going to a passage and if I read a passage, I can say, oh, this is when John, this is when Job was in the belly of the Jonah was in the belly of the whale, and You know, if I read a passage out of that book, you know what I mean. I don't want to just have it out of context and it has nothing to do with my situation. So um, that's what I'm doing now, and I just got finished Second Samuel, so I am on First Kings. I do have to say I skipped the Torah, so I started at Joshua. So I'm about 4 or 5 books in now, and it is interesting. I can tell you, the God of the Old Testament is fierce, but I think it all comes to um, a big understanding of who God is and why He does the things He does. I think if you read the Bible from beginning to end, you'll see that He's not this horrible, terrible God that a lot of Satanists and atheists at one point I did. It was fire and brimstone. He's all fire and brimstone. I think what you will find is that He's a merciful God, and I'm starting to see that more and more as I'm reading it. And I mean, in Joshua, I don't know how many times he gave the Israels a chance. I mean, over and over and over and over and over again. So I know He's merciful. Um, but yeah, like I just wanted to get on and make my first video. I have a lot that I want to say about what I've been through. It's been a 3-year journey. I've seen a lot. And I think my journey, and this might shock some of you guys if you couldn't already tell by my voice, but what may shock some of you is my targeting situation. Although it's similar to a lot of what you guys have been through, it's different in the fact that I identify as homosexual. So for me, I'm looking like, why? I mean, God condemns homosexuality. But what I'm learning is that He condemns the sin and not the sinner. There's a lot of people in the Bible that were sinners that God loved a lot. And so what I'm realizing now is that I'm the target, because now I'm celibate. I don't do the sin anymore. Even though I still identify as homosexual, I do wholeheartedly believe that you are born homosexual. I do not think it's a demonic curse. It could be a generational curse. I'm not sure. I wouldn't go that far, but I do know for a fact that I definitely was born this way. At least I remember being gay at the age of 5. I mean, I have no sexual attraction to women whatsoever, but God still plucked me. And I think my journey is to let other homosexuals know that it's okay to identify as homosexual, but you just can't act on it. And I hate to make this comparison, but it's almost like a pedophile in a way, because it's like, yeah, a pedophile can't, just like a homosexual can help liking the same sex. When we look at the same sex, that's who we are attracted to. And I feel like pedophiles is in the same way as homosexuals. When they look at children, they can't help but to feel some type of, get a sexual feeling from a child. I am not a pedophile at all, 100%. But I feel like they are along the same lines, and I feel like we must abstain from that. Like, pedophiles and homosexuals, unfortunately, and it kind of sucks for me, because I know going to Christianity and walking with Christ, I can no longer, I am celibate. I am single. At this point, I will never marry. I will never have sex again. And that is going to be a hard one. So not only do I deal with this targeting, game stalking thing, but I also have to deal with my sexuality. And I guess it's not so hard as a heterosexual if he's not married, because in all honesty, if a heterosexual male is not married, he's not really supposed to be indulging in sex either. So my journey is not that much more difficult than a heterosexual person, except if a heterosexual finds a woman, he can then marry and fulfill those desires. Unfortunately, I can't. I have to be almost like a nun or a priest because I identify as homosexual, which is fine. I'm learning to deal with it, and I'm taking it day by day, and it's hard, but I'm doing it. Well, I just wanted to get my voice out there a little bit to let people know who I am. I really am a TI. I am not here faking it. Um, at this point, when I'm stalked, I laugh. I laugh at the people because I know that Jesus is with me, and I can tell that I know that Jesus is real. I know that the Bible's real. I know that it's a spiritual thing because if I mention the Bible or say Jesus or even point my finger up, like you know how they do the hand signs outside their windows, the 666, or they put their hand out the window. I put my hand out the window and I just point up, and they will back off. They will try to get away from me as much as possible. I always listen to. I always have earphones in my. I always have headphones in my ear because in my stalking, they can hear what I'm thinking, and I mean, the demons around me can hear exactly what I'm thinking. So if I put music in my ear, and it's always Christian music or it's always the audio Bible, they will not stay around me. They'll try. They'll try to act like it doesn't bother them, but they can't take it for that long. You see them. Like, I can watch them. And I almost laugh because it's like they'll stand there for a minute and try to act like all big and bad, like, yeah, whatever. But you can tell that they hate the fact that I'm listening to Christian music or the Bible. They can't not take it. And they'll try their hardest to deceive me into thinking that they can take it, but then eventually they just give up and leave. Like they can't handle the Bible. And I mean, the words of the Bible is the sword, so they're not going to stand there and keep getting stabbed. Like they're going to leave. And I noticed that it works. So if you're like me and you experience the stalking aspect more than anything else, I experienced the stalking aspect more than anything. I think at the beginning I experienced a lot more, but as I grew closer to Jesus, it's just more of the stalking. Like when I leave out, I hear the car horn beep or the dog bark or I have the birds circling around me, those type of things. But in the beginning, it used to be a lot of activity. I mean, drones and helicopters and people in and out of my life, and it was a wild ride. But I'll tell my testimony in another uh, video or so. But I just wanted to get my voice out there and just be a part of the community because I comment a lot on a lot of things that I see, and I haven't really gave my testimony. It's a long one, it's an interesting one, and it's very similar to a lot of testimonies that I've heard already. So, all right, guys, I am going to leave. I need to cook dinner. It's like 9:45 p.m. and I'm starving. I've been out for the past 3 hours being Britney Spears. So I'm gonna go, guys. Stay in your Bible. Be safe. I love you all, and God bless.